Once upon a time, divorce was whispered about, a quiet scandal behind closed doors. But today, it's everywhere. On podcasts, in YouTube stories, on TikTok reels shared millions of times. Divorce has become a conversation. And that conversation is changing everything. Why? Because what used to mean failure now often means freedom. This is the new divorce trend. In this book, we'll explore how a personal heartbreak turned into a global movement, and why so many people are finally saying, enough. For generations, marriage was not a choice, it was a duty. In the 1950s, women were taught that happiness meant keeping a home, serving a husband, raising children. Divorce wasn't an option, it was a disgrace. Even in the 80s and 90s, people stayed in unhappy marriages because society told them that staying together was more honorable than breaking apart. But quietly, the world began to shift. Education grew. Women started working. Social media gave people a voice. And suddenly, silence didn't feel noble anymore. People started asking themselves, what if I don't want to just survive this relationship? What if I want to live? Marriage stopped being an obligation, and started becoming a choice. That's where the seeds of the new divorce trend were planted. Scroll through social media today, and you'll see something surprising. Women and men talking openly about their divorces. Not with shame, but with pride. Phrases like, I chose peace, I'm finally free, and, I found myself again, have replaced, I failed, and, I'm broken. This isn't about promoting separation, it's about reclaiming self-worth. Think of how many times we've seen public figures share their divorce journeys, not to gossip, but to inspire. Celebrities, authors, influencers, they're all saying the same thing. Leaving was the hardest thing I've ever done, but it was also the best. Divorce has become less of an ending, and more of a declaration. I refuse to shrink myself for someone else's comfort. That's the essence of this new trend, a generation that's no longer afraid to start over. Let's talk about what happens inside a person when they reach this point. The first feeling isn't freedom. It's fear. Fear of judgment. Fear of loneliness. Fear of starting from zero. But after the fear fades, something new appears, clarity. In countless interviews and studies, divorced individuals describe a transformation. I finally learned to listen to myself. I didn't realize how unhappy I was until I left. For the first time, I feel like I can breathe. These voices aren't rebelling against love, they're redefining it. The new divorce trend isn't anti-marriage. It's pro-peace. It's about walking away from noise, from control, from patterns that kill your spirit. Therapy, journaling, mindfulness, these are becoming tools of survival and self-discovery. Divorce is no longer a secret wound. It's becoming a symbol of emotional maturity. Money, it's one of the quiet forces behind this trend. In the past, financial dependence trapped people in broken marriages. But today, with women leading businesses, earning degrees, and owning homes, financial freedom has made emotional freedom possible. Statistics show that when people can support themselves, they choose differently. They choose peace. They choose health. They choose self-respect. And yet, this shift also raises questions. Is society prepared for the new structures that follow? Single-parent homes, new co-living models, blended families, they all require empathy, not judgment. The economics of love have changed, and so has its language. Commitment is no longer measured in years, but in mutual respect. If you've ever seen a viral TikTok of someone saying, "I'm 40, divorced, and finally happy," you've witnessed the digital side of this trend. The internet turned private pain into public conversation. Divorce coaches, content creators, therapists, they're all sharing stories, lessons, and humor that used to be taboo. This digital wave didn't just normalize divorce, it humanized it. Instead of shame, we see resilience. Instead of blame, we see growth. And when millions engage with that message, culture changes, quietly, powerfully, permanently. The online world made divorce visible. But more importantly, it made healing visible. If divorce can change so much, what does that say about love? Maybe love isn't meant to be owned. Maybe it's meant to be experienced, fully, honestly, and then, sometimes, released. The new divorce trend is not an attack on marriage. It's a reflection of evolution, emotional, spiritual, and cultural. We are learning that love can exist even after goodbye. That forgiveness is possible. That peace doesn't require permission. In a world that used to worship endurance, we are now learning to honor truth. Maybe the real trend isn't divorce. Maybe it's authenticity.